Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's video, we're going to continue discussing and reviewing custom Marvel Snap cards. Again, these are made by my great friend, WillowSnapping. Again, links are in the description. This man is on a mad one designing custom cards. Honestly, he's unmatched. So this particular set is a lot bigger than the last one. I'm pretty sure he designed like enough cards that would last enough cards like last a year of Marvel Snap or something like that, something along the line. So there's going to be a lot more cards in this video. Again, I'm not going to be reviewing and discussing all of them. If you want to see all of the cards, check them out in the description below. If you missed the last video, the card in the top right hand corner, we discussed his previous custom cards, but yeah, these ones are a lot more recent than the previous ones. So enough talk, let's jump straight into it. So guys, the first card we have here is Dr. Voodoo. He is a 2 energy 4 power card, and he reads ongoing. Your other cards here have no ability. So super interesting card in terms of stats. They're pretty good, better than your basic 2 energy 3 power card. The effect is super interesting. Again, straight off the top of my brain, you can slot this into some sort of zero deck. So this is really interesting because this is like preemptively, I guess, like silencing some cards. It's not really silencing, but taking the ability away from the card. So preemptively setting up like, okay, I want to negate my Typhoid Mary's effect. I want to negate my Red Skull's effect, which previously the only way to kind of do that is your card like Zero, or your card like Enchantress, like Enchantressing your own cards. Obviously, we do have the new card coming up, Sauron, which takes all of the ongoing abilities away from your cards. But yeah, overall, this is super interesting. We haven't really seen a card like this before, and I think it would definitely slot into that type of deck. With all of these like new cards like Sauron coming out, like there's definitely like I can see some like real support and synergy for certain cards that like aren't utilized too much. Like there are some good Red Skull decks and some good Typhoid Mary decks, but with cards like this being introduced, like again, I could see this being a card that Second Dinner would print 100%. So yeah, really interesting one for the first card there. All right, guys, moving on to the second card. Straight off the bat, like this is probably one of my favorite custom-made cards I've ever seen. When Willow first showed me this, I was like, bro, just put it in the game. Put it in the game now. First, like, I love Solo as a character, but okay, let me get into his ability. So he's a 2 energy 3 power card, and he reads, this can be played into locations that would otherwise not be possible. This is like so interesting. So like you could play him in like Professor X has locked down the location. You can play him there. The Big House, you can play him there. What's the other one? Is it Miniaturized Lab? You can play him there. Sanctum Sanctorum. I guess Death's Domain isn't a good example. Like Flooded, there's so the potential. There's so many locations you could play this card in, and the thing is, like, it's not like this is a powerful card, right? The fact that you can even do that ability. If you have any sort of way of putting power on a location where your opponent already thinks they've like won guaranteed 100%, it's a really powerful card. And it being a 2 energy 3 power card, like oftentimes that like 3 power swing, even adding like 1 or 2 power to location, like you're just losing by that amount. It's so good. So yeah, I want this card in the game. I'm saying it right now. This is probably my favorite custom card I've ever seen. I don't know if they would ever print a card like this, but I think a card like this should, I don't know. I want it in the game. But yeah, it's a super cool card. All right, moving on to the next card, we have Sister Grimm. She is a 3 energy 3 power card, and she reads, the first time this moves, draw a card. Really interesting card. There's like, so far in Snap, there's not a lot of ways you can draw cards besides like Adam Warlock and Crystal at the moment. There are a few leaked cards that allow you to draw cards, such as Black Knight, but overall I think this is actually really powerful. Again, for like base power for cost, it's one under that 3 energy 4 power card like Cyclops. But with an effect like this, like I think I said it in one of my previous videos, drawing cards in Snap is a lot more valuable than people would think for like drawing a card, because your deck is so small, right? And you put a lot of the cards in your deck to synergize with each other. So, I mean, you do, like, what, on average see, like, 75% of your deck. But if you combo this card simply with, like, you play Iron Fist in this card, like, you wouldn't necessarily even have to fit this into a move deck. If you're playing this in some deck that eventually becomes, like, you know, I want to basically guarantee I draw all of my cards. So if, like, if more combo decks become popular, this could be a card where you literally just slot it in just to draw an extra card, because that effect is I think drawing a card is super powerful in Snap. I don't know about you guys, but I think it is. So this is a solid card, and I think if it was in the game, it would actually see more play than people would think. As I said, because there's not too many ways to draw cards. So the next card we have here is Aurora. She is a 3 energy 4 power card, and she reads ongoing. If your opponent's hand is empty, +4 power. So she could become 8 power for 3. Okay, that's interesting. This is probably a card you would only run in some sort of make my opponent discard their hand deck, which may become a deck in the future. I mean, we have cards like Moon Knight, we have cards like Black Bolt. But yeah, besides that, unless you're specifically facing a discard deck, there's not much that this card can do. I think this card would fit in again if there was ever a meta where discard was really popular. This would be a good counter to discard. Or if there was a deck that you could discard your opponent's cards like consistently, so with your Black Bolts and your Moon Knights. Besides that, I don't really see much other use for this card. It's just a 3 energy 3/4. Yeah, don't really have much more thoughts on that. It's an interesting concept for sure, but we'd have to be in a certain meta where discard would be quite prominent, I would imagine. So the next card we have here is Cassie Lang. She is a 0 energy 1 power card, and she reads, while this is in your hand, at the end of the turn, transform it. And she transforms into just a 1 energy 1/4 no ability card. So this is like a really, really powerful card, no? The only thing is, it's not like Hearthstone, right? Where you can mulligan and like you want this card in your opening hand that's just so good. In a meta with Killmonger, though, it's tough. But I can't say, oh, every 1-cost card has to consider Killmonger. I need to look at the 1-cost card without Killmonger existing, right? I mean, if that's the case, this is a pretty good card, man. This is a pretty good card. Like 1 energy 4 power. Again, probably most comparable to Demon. But I see people running this card in any sort of, I guess, aggressive... Can you say this aggressive decks in Snap? I guess like your Khazar Zoo kind of decks is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this is a super powerful card. I don't know if they'd actually print... I don't know if they would print this. They actually... No, you know, this is fair. They probably would, because overall with Demon's effect, it's like what? Technically, it's 2 energy for 4 power. Yeah, this is 1 energy for 4 power. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure if they would print it. It's pretty powerful, but I think it's really interesting. They could print something along the lines of this for sure. Okay, next up, we have the In-Betweener. Okay, so he's a 4 energy 7 power card, and he reads, each turn, replace a random location with a new one. This is... This card would be a lot of fun in the game, man. I love seeing cards like this that are like... I don't know, I say for the memes, but this could, like, if there was ever a meta where like people could consistently make a location, I don't know if that would be the case, but yeah, he just in general it seems really good, right? So if people put down like a magic, or like if okay, I think specifically if there are locations like flooded, or your opponent plays magic and limbo happens, but I guess that would be like very specific. There's no way of saying, oh, I run this card just to counter those specific things. This just seems like actually, I think this card could see play. I don't know if it's too like wacky. It's definitely a wacky card, but I like wacky cards. Yeah, it's interesting. It's good stats for the cost. It's 1 extra power than your standard thing. Yeah, not much more else to say except I'd actually like to see this card in the game. It would be a lot of fun. It'd be wacky. I could see Second Dinner printing a card like this. They like, I feel like they like some meme cards like this. I don't even know. I don't know why I'm calling this a meme card. This is just a fun card, I guess. Yeah, fun card for sure. Okay, the next card we have here is ANTI-VENOM. He is a 4 energy 1 power card, And he reads, on reveal, destroy a random friendly card here. Give a card in your hand power equal to it. Before I even start discussing synergies with this card, can we just appreciate how great Willow is in terms of consistency for flavor in Marvel Snap? So like all of the symbiotes in the game have some sort of synergy with like destroy. So you've got Carnage who destroys, Venom who destroys, Null who's coming out, who's the god of the symbiotes. He has like a destroy like interaction or ability. And ANTI-VENOM as well. So I know it's not really related to much, but I really appreciate those little touches. So Willow, great job on that one. Shout out to you, my friend. But yeah, okay. So discussing the card, it's super interesting, all right? So you just put it into your destroy decks again. But the fact that if you, similar to Arnim Zola, if you play this on a lane where you've won, you specifically want to play one card and then you add that card's power to your hand, it's really good. Most comparable to maybe how in certain decks, I actually don't see it too much, but there are some decks that do a thing like you play your Typhoid Mary or you play your Red Skull and then you Venom it, right? So you Venom it to actually gain the stats of the card whilst like negating the effect. But moving forward, like as there's more cards that are releasing, like I think Anti-Venom is probably just better than just playing Venom with a card like that, right? Because you destroy it and then add it to, I guess it's really, it's really, I'm only realizing how similar this card is to Venom, which is again super good flavor. But yeah, I think synergies like that are super interesting. And like I said, with cards like Null coming out, we're destroying cards, like all of the power gets added to him and all. There's some crazy stuff you could do. I think honestly, if they were to print Anti-Venom, this is probably the exact text I think should go in it, because it's so like Venom, but then it's not Venom, you know? It's like the same power as Venom, basically the same effect, but just different. Like this is like probably one of the best designed cards I've seen overall for everything, for like flavor, for, oh man, this is, yeah, I want this in the game now. I think this would be, they have to print this card, man. Second Dinner, boys, tell Second Dinner to print this card, I'm telling you. Okay, moving on to the next card, we have a Blackheart. He reads, if location is full on either side, this costs 0. Wow. Okay. I guess I'm like, wow, that's pretty big, like that, well, a pretty powerful effect. A 0/6, yeah, 0/6 is good. Again, it's weird, but like I need to think of like, I know I keep comparing stuff to Demon, which is probably wrong to do, but since this is only 6, I say only 6 power, this is still a super powerful effect. And against a lot of decks, this would see play, like against decks like Destroyer decks, where they almost always have like one whole location full with their, like, you know, like their armor has the 4, with their armor, one location has 4 slots taken up. Yeah, I think this could be seen in the game. Maybe take it down to 5 power. I don't know if you even have to take it down to 5 power, but I could see this being in the game, I guess. It's interesting, right? It's interesting to see would they print cards like this, because they don't want to. I think as the game evolves, cards like this will definitely come out. And if this card was out, it would see play again, especially in a meta with against certain decks that like to have full locations. If there was some sort of like Zoo meta where like that was literally the best deck in the game, yeah, you'd always play Blackheart in your deck 100%. Again, super interesting card. All right, so moving on to the next card, we have FANTOMEX. He is a 4 energy 3 power card, and he reads, on reveal, if this is at the middle location, add copies with the same power at adjacent locations. I love this card. This reminds me of I mean, in Snap it's kind of like Multiple Man. Card I used to play back in Hearthstone, like there was a lot of cards that you could like, this is kind of like it's like a cloning card, right? They're super interesting. Playing it in the middle location makes sense as well. It wouldn't be fair. It would not be fair at all to be like, okay, play this wherever you want, and you just get like 4 energy 9 power stats. Like that's kind of crazy. If you buff this card in any way, it's kind of nutty. I think in general this card is like super good, right? 9 power for 4 energy is really good. And it's spread as well. So it's not like it's all in like the one location again. Like if you're playing a card like Typhoid Mary, or probably actually most comparable is a card that's quite opposite to this is Warpath, which is basically a 4 energy 9 power card, but in the one location. Yeah, this is really good. This is great for spread. Again, if you buff this card in any way, it's like really good. If you buff this card by 2, you're basically playing a Doctor Doom. Super, super, super good. I guess you just have to be like, okay, get lucky that the middle location is like not really a bad location. But I could see this card being played for sure. Maybe I don't know what would you say? Like maybe make it a 5 energy 4 power card. I don't know. No, it's not. Yeah, this is perfectly statted, I think, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think below. But yeah, super interesting card. All right, so the next card we have here is Howard the Duck. He is a 4 energy 4 power card, and he reads, when your opponent draws a card, you see it. That's a really interesting effect. That's a super powerful effect. So you basically see your opponent's possibly turn 5 and turn 6 play, not necessarily, because they could already obviously just play the cards that they have in their hand, and then obviously they would be aware as well that you know what's in their hand. But cards like this are really, really powerful. Like, one of my favorite cards is actually, I've been playing a lot of Daredevil lately, and you wouldn't really think, but like getting information about what your opponent's about to do is so powerful. So powerful. So, I mean, if this card was in the game, yeah, I think it would see play. Stats, yeah, I know you're playing a 4 energy 4 power card. It's like, but I mean, listen, you play Daredevil, which is a 2/2, and it's beneficial on turn 5. I think people would play this card if this card was in the game. Super cool effect, gives you information about your opponent's plays. Yeah, solid card. Actually, just a quick note, guys. We actually do know what Howard the Duck is coming to the game. When I say he's being leaked, we know his within the data mine files, we know his effect, which can be, you know, take this with a grain of salt. It can be changed easily. Let me pull it up for you really quickly, guys. Oh my god, I just pulled it up there. I am shocked at how similar these effects are. You guys aren't gonna believe this. So it says, again, this is from a data miner. It says Howard the Duck. No stats for the card. On turn 6, you can see 1 card in your opponent's hand. That's so similar to this card's effect. That's kind of wild. You would nearly think that Willow knew something. What? That is wild. All right, so moving on to the next card, we have Goblin King. He is a 4 energy 5 power card, and he reads, on reveal, next turn, your opponent gains control of this, then destroy all other friendly cards here. This is really, really interesting. It's very similar to the existing Goblin effects in the game, so Green Goblin and Hobgoblin. It's 4 energy, so right there in between both of those 2 cards. Interesting. This is one of those cards. Okay, it's 5. I need to think. It's 5 power. So I guess what its effect is so powerful that actually its effect is really powerful. There's no real, if this goes over, there's no real way of stopping it. Wow. This is a super, super interesting card. If you can, like, if you play this into a lane where it's like, oh man, into a lane where they're trying to pull off a combo, or they just have big cards in general, or like essential cards that mean that they're about to win the game, this is like, wow. I actually, like, I first read this card and I was like, oh yeah, it's just like one of the goblins, right? But it's a lot more than that. There's no real way of stopping this. I mean, like, you've got like Cosmo, but there's no way if they're really gonna know that you're about to play this. Wow, this is a really interesting card. I think they should print a card like this. Like, this card could definitely be added to the game. Let me know what you guys think down below, but that's a super, super interesting card, because I can't really say, again, it's risky because, like, well, it's risky like any of the goblins. If they play something there, right, you're just about to destroy all your cards. So in that sense, though, you could maybe, like, if you don't, if you're like, okay, this might not go over, like, just play this on a lane where, like, if you're already playing a destroy deck and then destroy your own cards, like, that might seem insane and, like, so niche, but maybe you could literally slot this into some sort of destroy deck. Yeah, really, really cool card. All right, so the next card we have here is Hannibal King. He is a 5 energy 0 power card, and he reads, when your opponent draws a card, gain power equal to its power. So this is a really like this is one of the cards that like you either high roll or low roll, right? And it's tough to determine how powerful this card is, depending on the meta, right? You'd need to, well, I guess you'd also need to know, like, collect like the cards that are probably like the most played, or again played a lot in a certain meta, and then get the average power of them. I'm not doing that math at the moment. If someone wants to do that math, feel free. I ain't doing that. But overall, I don't know. You just have to get really lucky, or you could get really unlucky. Do you know what I mean? Because like what? Because like realistically, you want to hit this. You'd want to be getting 8, and even 8 is like, you know, actually lower than Abomination stats. Okay, I was about to say, is this it would say ongoing. If it was ongoing, I assume it would just keep doing it. But this seems like a one-time effect, you know what I mean? When your opponent draws a card the first time. Willow, if you watch this video, please clarify. I may just be dumb, but please clarify if this is, does it happen like each turn? I don't know, like say for example, if you cheated this out, if it wasn't just turn, you play this on turn 5 and then turn 6, would it like copy another one? Because if that's the case, then this is like super high rolly, like either it's really good or really bad, like you can't stop if it changes. But since it's on turn 5, the majority of the time it's only going to happen once. But yeah, interesting card. Very hard to determine if it's good or bad. Some of you math nerds might be able to help me out with that one, but my brain can't comprehend if this is actually good or not. So the next card we have here, guys, is Agamotto. He's a 5 energy 2 power card, and he reads, each turn, if either player spends 0 energy, a random card is played from their hand. That's really interesting. Really interesting. Again, you'd have to, if you're playing this card, you want to slot it into a big deck, and the big decks probably consist of, you know, your Sunspots, your Infinites. This is the type of deck that you want to fit this into. Again, if that's the case, this is similar to a card that I just previously reviewed in the last video. I think it was if you spend 0 energy. Oh, it was Dormammu. Yeah. It's like if you spend 0 energy and play a 6-cost card from your hand, a random 6-cost card from your hand. So, I guess like an alternative to Dormammu or similar to Dormammu. And it's for either player as well. Super cool card, man. Super cool design. I can't really judge this more than say, yeah, put it into some sort of big deck, because that's what you want to do, right? You don't want to, when it says a random card, you don't have to pull out something really small. You know what I mean? Especially if your opponent can do it too, right? So your opponent can pull something pretty big. Overall, super interesting and cool design card. So the next card we have is Diablo. This is a super interesting card, guys. He's a 3 energy 5 power card, and he reads, when a card is added without being played, transform it into gold. So the example we have on screen here is when Mr. Sinister is played, he plays the Sinister clone. So instead of it being a 2/2, which it usually is, it just becomes a 1/1, which is, and it has like a kind of a gold effect on it. That's really cool, Willow. And it just has no ability. So other cards, like examples of cards that would be affected by this, there's actually quite a few. You've got like your Doctor Dooms, great counter to Doctor Doom, great counter to White Tiger. Any other cards like that? I was gonna say great counter to Ultron, but I guess it's the same thing, right? There's a few cards that add cards into the game, right? Again, straight off the top of my head, it was just the 2 I mentioned previously, but this is like such a strong counter, like, because those cards come in late, right? And those can often decide the game, right? You know what I mean? If they play Doctor Doom, they can win, use the power spread. If they play White Tiger, that's 7 power going onto a location like Sanctum Sanctorum or something like that. Like, this is super cool, super interesting counter card, super good tech card, yeah, for sure. If we ever see a meta where those cards are like prominently played, like they're played a lot at the moment, but if the best deck in the game runs that, and this card's in the game, you just run this to counter it, right? So the next card we have here is Wonder Man. He's a 2 energy 2 power card, and he reads, each turn, the first time a card gains power, gain an equal amount of power. So really interesting card. In terms of cards that actually gain power, we've seen one quite recently, which is Black Panther, the newest card out of the game. So if Wonder Man's in play and Black Panther comes down, immediately he gets +4 in stats, right? So that's really good. Other cards that gain power, you've got cards like Rescue, got cards like Jessica Jones. There's a lot. There's actually quite a few. So just having this on the board early, this could grow later in the game and you wouldn't even know. Like playing a 2/2 is always like relatively fine, especially if its effect is good. And if you know there's a chance, again, it's not even if your opponent plays it, it's you as well. It's the first time any card gains power. So you can play it in a sort of Black Panther deck. Also, like a card coming out as soon as Shuri, which also like doubles like the next card you play's power. So there's a lot that you could do with this card. I think it's super powerful. There's a lot of cards that gain stats. I wonder if this would work with like Warpath. I think it would work with Warpath, right? Because when you play Warpath, when he comes into play, then he gains the power. But yeah, a lot of cards that combo with this. Like I really could see, especially in the next few months, knowing that cards like Shuri and stuff are coming out, this would really see play for sure. So the next card we have here is CANNONBALL. He is a 2 energy 1 power card, and he reads, while this is in your hand, each turn it gains +1 power. Straight off the bat, love this card's design. So cool. I really hope that we would get a card. I actually still hope that we get a card like this in Snap relatively soon. Because this is one of the cards where you just leave it in your hand and it grows, right? So let me think. You would want this in your hand for 3 turns. 3 turns, correct? Actually, right, there's the benefit of this card is obviously if it's in your hand early, right? If you draw this card in like turn 4, 5, 6, even on turn, you'd want to draw it on turn 4, so it's a 2/3, right? If you draw it any time after that, this is just a dead card in your hand. That's the disadvantage of this card. But the advantage is if you have it if you just happen to draw it early, it's really good. Like I said, you'd ideally want to have it turn 1. And if you have a turn 1 until turn 6, this is a 2/7, which is like nutty. Yeah, now that I think about that disadvantage, I actually think it's a balanced card because of that disadvantage. But most of the time you'd want this to be a 2/4, right? And for it to be a 2/4, it needs to be in your hand for at least 3 turns. Yeah, I'm curious to know if this is in your hand on turn 1, does it just become a 2/2 straight off the bat? Because while this is in your hand each turn, it gains +1 power. So if turn 1 happens, does this just get +1 power? Or does it happen after turn 1? It's really interesting. But yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to this card 100%, but super cool design again. So the next card we have here, guys, is Chameleon. He's a 3 energy 1 power card. And he reads, when a card is destroyed, this transforms into a copy of it. Super cool card. Again, great flavor on that one, my friend. Yeah, a lot of crazy things you could do. This actually reminds me a lot of Zola, strangely enough, because like you could like cheat out a big card, right? You could cheat out a big card anywhere, and then turn 5, you could even turn 6 maybe. Yeah, like this could be like a. Okay, if I'm comparing it directly to Zola, think about this as like a turn 6 finisher, right? So they think you've got like, say you cheat out like a Giganto or something crazy on left, right? And they think, right, left side's done for, right? And if you just like destroy it and then have Chameleon, it's actually worse than Zola, but that's why I guess it's a 3 power card, not a 6 power card. Sorry, 3 energy card, not 6 energy card. But yeah, that would be like my use for it. Cheat out something big, destroy it, Chameleon becomes it. It's probably good as well, not even if it's just if you don't destroy a big card. It's good with combinations with like Venom, right? You destroy something with Venom because then Venom retains the stats of that big card and then Chameleon just gets extra stats as well. But if you want to, you're losing a location and you want to shift it somewhere, Chameleon's really good. Yeah, not much more to say about this card, but you probably, I don't know if you would fit this into just a destroy deck in general. Maybe, I mean, listen, if it's a destroy mechanic, you do slot it in there, but it could be really useful in some other cool like hybrid big decks, cheat decks or something like that. Super cool. So the next card we have here is Gentle. He's a 2 energy 1 power card, and he reads, each turn your opponent doesn't play a card here, +2 power. So you're kind of forcing your opponent to play cards in a certain location, because if not, this card could become out of control. But it's not crazy. It's not crazy either, because I mean, you could relatively, if you just want this to become realistically, sorry, this would just become a 2/3 if they don't play it on 1 turn. But there's probably cute combos you could do, like oh wow, actually, yeah, play this and then play Storm. I did not even realize that. Imagine that. Then this card could just keep growing on that Storm location, and it actually means that you wouldn't really need to play. I mean, you could play a Juggernaut in the Storm lane as well, but like actually that's a really cute combo. Yeah, that's a suit that would be like one of the better combos for this card. But in that sense, this card has a lot of potential. But in general, the most I could see this becoming is a 2/5. Again, it means it forces your opponent to play maybe differently than how they actually wanted to. But yeah, super cool card. I think that Storm combo would be pretty cool. Up next, we have Captain Carter. She is a 5 energy, 7 power card, and she reads, if this enters your hand from anywhere besides your deck, double its power. So this is really interesting. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to see how. So you could cheat this card out early and then bounce it back. If you bounce it back, it then becomes a 5/14, which is what, basically a Red Skull with no downside. But that requires you cheating this out and getting a lot for that to actually happen. For some reason, my brain isn't really thinking what other things you could, other ways for this to be added to your hand besides from your deck. I guess if it's randomly generated, like, geez, you just got a 5/14. Oh, I guess with Moon Girl, of course, with Moon Girl, if you copy it with White Queen as well, that makes sense actually. Yeah, with Moon Girl, this is like a cool finisher, I guess. But to be honest with you, yeah, it being 5 and its power being so high and the requirements from getting it to activate being quite tricky, I think balances it perfectly. So yeah, super interesting card. Let me know down below, guys, if you think there's any like unique things you could do. Things that I'm not thinking of. My typical ones is like I said, bounce and Moon Girl maybe. So the final card we have for this segment, guys, is Lasher, one of my favorite Marvel characters. Willow keeping the symbiote flavor thing going with the whole destroy, discard type of thing. Discard similar to Wolverine's destruction as well, which makes sense. So this Lasher, he's a 1/1, and he reads, when this card is discarded or destroyed, give a card in your hand +1 power and this effect. So it's like a continuous kind of like little enchantment buff type of thing. So Lasher gets destroyed, +1 power to a certain card and this effect. That card gets destroyed, +1 power and this effect. Actually, oh no, it's give a card in your hand +1 power and this effect. So I assume that's if it's the same card. Well, I guess we're seeing a lot of destroy decks now that actually care about the power of the card being destroyed, such as Venom, such as Null. So this card is actually, it's quite good. It's probably not overly impressive. I probably hyped it up too much in my brain just because I love this character. But solid 1-drop to slot into, I guess, destroy decks. When destroy evolved into that kind of Null deck that we've all been talking about for so long now, I think this card definitely has a place in that as a 1-drop. But yeah, it's gonna be so interesting to see where the game goes in like the next like few months with these cards coming out, especially like you know, next month, December, we're going into Series 4 or Pool 4. We're gonna have a lot of new cards coming out. We're gonna have collector tokens, so we can kind of say, right, I really want to collect these cards. So yeah, I'm super interested to see what's gonna happen in that regard and how decks are gonna evolve. Like, we've always traditionally thought of, like, when I think of destroy, I just think of death. I just think of Killmonger. I think of Death Wave, basically. So it's gonna be really interesting to see certain cards being utilized in a different way. So yeah, that's the first half of this segment or this video covering these custom cards for Willow. The next one I will link up here as it's readily available, I guess. And let me know what you guys think. I will see you in the next one.